So you're for taking away the power from the states. That's where you stand.
In this instance, yes.
This is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Hello, and welcome to the Think Tank. We'll use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, and just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased and logical conclusions. Today, we're here to talk about voting. The Voting Rights Act is under attack. The Voting Rights Act, Section 2, the part that protects people from protects minorities. The Women's Right to Vote, SAVE, is attacking that by saying you have to have your birth certificate when you go, and if you changed your name because let's say you were married, then your birth certificate will have a different name. You won't be able to use that, so that will limit access voting. They're trying to redistrict, and now even with all of these things happening, Texas having one of the reddest seats in the country flip blue by wide margins. Donald Trump is scared about the elections, and now he's talking about taking the rights of states away for voting to be able to control these votes from the federal level. Here to discuss all of this with me, as always, my partner in crime. Even though we don't always see eye to eye on things, we're here discussing it for you.
So, hi, everybody. I'm District Leader Dion Powell of the Bronx Conservative Party. America first, borderline America only type of guy on the MAGA side of the family, trying to make America great again. I'm a strategist, consultant, community leader, and organizer here to make sure you get the civic education you need to actually gain discernment.
We appreciate that. Thank you. Don't forget, if this is the type of content you like, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Let people know, especially share this content with people. This is the kind of conversations we need to have. We need to see what each side is thinking so we can draw our own critical thinking, use our own critical thinking skills to draw our own conclusions without being told by the media which way to think. If you hear both sides, you can do that on your own. So there was a raid on Fulton County's election center. They took 7 pallets of ballots. Like a pallet is that little, that I can't even describe it. It's what you set stock on. Like, if you go into a warehouse and you see a bunch of stuff sitting on something, it's a pallet. They took 7 pallets of ballots. That's a little card you sign, but it's the holes punched into it. That is like hundreds of thousands of votes. They got everybody, and then Trump is like, well, maybe we need to federalize the voting so that states and take away states' rights. Now, you're America first. What do you think about all of this? What has been called by the courts? Well, the courts gave them in Fulton County, because I see you looking it up and you haven't done your homework. I see that.
No, it's just like ground news. That's my thing. It's ground news. I have to. Well, never mind. Go ahead.
So what they did was they went to court and they got permission from the judge to take these votes, these ballots. Now, it's come out that there's no reason for them to have done it. They were trying to skirt around an earlier court order that said they couldn't do it. And Trump is talking about federalizing the elections and taking away states' rights. As an America First person, as somebody from on the right side who was in a place that supposedly supported state rights, and as a current MAGA person, what do you think about the fact that Trump wants state rights to be taken away and the control of votes federally? Do you think that this is just a grasp to try and hold power?
Well, just like you said, redistricting, the answer is yes. Now, with the constitutionality of it is questionable because remember, federal elections are all across the board held at the same time in that same even year in November. So they have control over that. But local and state elections, the Constitution has assigned those mechanisms. So it's a great area if Trump was to try to nationalize, quote unquote, the election. So it would have to only be for federal level, but then the administrative capacity locally, the states would have a little bit more leeway. And that's kind of like what it is when it comes to like federal policy, in my opinion.
So, in your opinion, him taking away state rights is against the Constitution and could be seen as, I don't know, I guess in your world it would be called overreach?
Well, some people can say argue it's overreach, but then again, something as simple as having a policy across the board of showing your identification actually is not that bad because we show identification for lots of scenarios: airport, DMV, buying a bottle of liquor, you're buying a gun. So it makes sense in that practicality. Now, the states have to go through the minutia because they have their own board of elections and commissions of electioneers that do different things. But yes, I see this as a good thing and not really a big problem.
Okay, you're gaslighting our public. We had, like, I don't know if you've ever been to vote. Maybe you haven't. Maybe that's why you're believing that, or you're gaslighting. It's one or the other. There is nowhere where you can go to vote without showing your ID. That is not something that's been changed. What he said was you have to show your
No, that happens all the time in New York because our state law says your signatures have to just match up. And that's pretty much it because you have to sign, you should sign a book. Now there are little kiosks. You give them your last name, that's it. But they also issue your voter ID card, which they can actually scan, and it makes it easy for them. So they streamline it. So voting.
That actually makes more sense than showing your ID. That makes more sense. So if you have your voter registration card and they scan it, then all your information comes up. It can't be duplicated. They know you voted, so you can't vote more than once. What is the problem with that?
Well, there's no photograph with that. You're just scanning. So anybody could take something they found on the floor from your mail, open it up, and go vote, which I just scanned that little thing. But you still have to sign your name. And then theoretically, it should match up. But that's the standards here in New York.
It sounds good to me, but we're not talking about that. We're talking
Because
about,
something do it.
you know what? I will support showing ID. How about that? I'll support that 100%. I can get behind that. That's physical ID with a picture on it. I can get behind that. But Donald Trump's talking about taking over the elections where they control everything, not the states.
Okay. Well, they walked some of that back because Trump, being Trump, ran his mouth. But the point is that on a federal level, they do have some control over that.
So you're saying that if they walk it back, what you actually support is showing ID, and that's what MAGA supports. The rest of it is overreach. We agree. We can agree on this.
Oh, it depends on what the overreach would be. They want to get to voter data and purge certain voter data, people who are like dead or in jail or eligible, and repeats and stuff like that. Because each state's voter records are so, I guess, haphazard and have a lot of discrepancies that they want to make sure that voting record is accessed and federalized. So there'll be a national voter database and things of that nature.
That's illegal. That's against the Constitution. If they wanted to partner with the states to do that,
that can be changed. That's not really in the Constitution, but that can be changed. Voter data and information, that can be changed.
okay. So you're all for taking the power from the states and making it federal. You're into, hey, everybody, this is your boy Leo. You know me. I've been doing commercials for 15 years, television commercials, radio ads, billboards. Now I'm trying to step it into the big leagues. I want to be an independent filmmaker. I've got the degrees, I've got the experience, and I need your help to make my first independent film, Garot. So Garot is Boys in the Hood meets Clue. So these dudes from Brooklyn is trying to buy their drugs to supply the hood. So they go to the mafia stronghold and they purchase their drugs, but one of them turns up dead. And now there's a race to find out who did it. The Godfather's going to send in his hit squad, Squadra Assassina, to take them out. They don't figure out who did it because somebody died on his turf and he's not happy and he can't have stuff like that happening in his business. So please, if you want to show support, my Kickstarter campaign is down in the description box. The party that was for small government is now supporting the government growing in size, adding more power. Is that where you stand?
Not really. They also want to go back to paper ballots and one election day only, no early voting and other gimmicks, no ranked choice voting. So there's a lot of technicalities like ranked choice voting, which some argue are unconstitutional as well. And states giving so much liberal policies to voting and voting access. Some people would say that's unconstitutional because you're potentially letting non-citizens vote. And, you got to be a citizen of the country to vote.
So you're for taking away the power from the states. That's where you stand.
In this instance, yes.
Well, the opposite side of that, the argument to that is that Donald Trump and his policies are so highly unpopular that he's so far underwater. He's in the 30s right now that he knows that if a fair election is to be held right now, he would lose badly. If the midterms were to come right now, there would be a blue tsunami, the likes of which haven't been seen in decades. In English, that means, what that actually means is that the Democrats would win a lot of seats and he would lose power. Probably he would get taken out of power. He would lose the presidency, all of that. So in order to maintain power, he takes control over the votes and decides what votes count. And that's what the states are afraid of, that whether you agree or not, what the states are afraid of is the president trying to maintain power like they do in other authoritarian regimes, like in China, Russia, and abroad. They would cheat, or like they did in Venezuela, they would cheat, miscount the votes, and he would maintain power, his people would maintain power, and not actually win a fair election. Now, looking at what Donald Trump has done historically, like claiming voter fraud in the previous election where no voter fraud has been actually proven, where he literally made a phone call and tried to cheat, find me 15,000 votes. He literally tried to manufacture votes to stay in power. It's not unreasonable to believe that he would once again try to cheat. And if he took control of the elections, if he was willing to overthrow the government, if he was willing to manufacture votes, that if he was able to do all of these things in the past, or attempted to try and do all of these things, if he was able to control the federal elections now and take the power away from the states, that he would do the same thing. And this is a very reasonable assumption when you use critical thinking capabilities. The critical analysis of this is not, is beyond standard. This is like A plus B equals C. Well, if A plus B equals C, doesn't B plus A equal C as well? Doesn't C minus B equal A? I'm sorry to bring math into it. I'm talking to an audience that probably has a lot of MAGA people in it, and they're like, well, Uncle Bob, doesn't A plus B equal D? MAGA, gotta love it. Your thoughts, you're an educated man.
Always got to. You see, even that's why the movie industry is going down, because the actual producers and actors blame the audience for not watching. But here at the think tank, we do things much differently. We are the media, and now so are you. So make sure that you hit the share button and make sure our content is added to yours, and you can like and subscribe as you need it.
All right, this is Leonard Sanderson.